The other advanced classes are advanced social studies and English courses. Both of these classes require reading and writing levels to be at a high level and do more extensive projects within there. If you look at, if you want to see where your student is at for reading and writing, you may want to look at their Iowa assessment scores, past Iowa assessment scores, and see. But we'd like to have the kids around the 80th percentile or above for their reading and writing for consideration for these classes because of the requirement of being at a higher level. Again, too, we do want the students to have a strong interest in the subject matter, whether it be with the social study topics or with the reading and writing that would be involved with the English class. Next, we want to talk about our support classes that we have here at Stillwell. If your student is currently involved in a support class, which are listed here on the screen, you will notice that written on the registration form. If things change where the student is not involved in that by the end of the year, we can change that very easily. But right now, since they are involved in that support, you will notice that on the form. And again, we are anticipating that they will be continuing that later on into their 8th grade year. So what it would look like on their form is that it's probably listed after the physical education on line 5. So for example, here ELP Extended Learning Program is listed on line 5 in the blank alternating PE. The reason why it's listed there is because it meets every other day. All of our support classes meet every other day through their programming. So reading is another example of one. So again, it meets every other day, so you can put it on line 5. Since PE is every other day as well, we put a class that meets every other day on that line 5. Now, some students will notice that they have more than one support class listed there. If that is the case, it would the next support class would go down on line 6. And you notice here we got reading and math resource. What happens there is after the math resource we have a slash, which allows for another class that meets every other day to be put there. If there's another support class, that might be listed there as well. But some other options, if a student is involved in just 2 support classes, some other options that may be involved there is chorus or any other type of music, band, orchestra. Or if they're not involved in any music, they would put a study hall, alternating that. That leads us into our music offerings. We have 3 different music offerings just like they had in 7th grade, band, orchestra, and choir. And again, these ones meet every other day and will meet all year long. So if a student is not involved in any support classes, you would put that music class on line 5, alternating their physical education class there. So for example, here, if a student was wanting to be involved in chorus, we put chorus alternating PE there. If a student wanted to be involved in more than one music, we would put the next music on line 6. So if this student wanted to be involved in chorus and band, we would put band on line 6 and put a slash after this. If a student wanted to be involved in chorus, band, and orchestra, we would just put orchestra after that slash there. But in most cases, if a student has 2 musics, after that slash there, we would put a study hall. So they'd have a study hall alternating every other day. In that situation. If they were involved in a support class, that would also still allow for them to do the 2 musics if they put them on line 6. One big change that happens in 8th grade is the opportunity to take our Spanish 1 class. It's listed as Spanish 1 because it is the first year of Spanish at the high school level. Now, students do not get high school credit for the Spanish class, but it does allow them to accelerate. And what that means is, if they take Spanish their 8th grade year, they will have the opportunity to take Spanish 2 their 9th grade year. And that would allow them to get done with Spanish if they took 4 years of it, get done with it by the time they were a junior. And it would allow them to take an AP class their senior year if they were interested in Spanish. It does require academic discipline. There's a considerable amount of work with this class, and definitely an interest in Spanish. A student would want to be strongly considering taking Spanish as their foreign language as they move into high school to take it their 8th grade year. If they're not interested in taking Spanish, if they're planning on taking another language, a recommendation would probably be to wait to take the language in 9th grade. If a student signs up for Spanish, this is kind of an example here. Let's say a student signs up for chorus in the line 5. Spanish would go in line 6. It needs to have the full line since it meets every day, and it would need to be all year long. So if a student wanted to be in Spanish, if they had line 6 open, they would put Spanish on both first semester and second semester. As it says down here, both semesters need to be filled out, so you'd have it as Spanish in first semester and second semester. And just make sure that you have that in there, because otherwise it will not work for the full year there. That moves us into our other 8th grade electives. We have a wide array of different electives that students can take. We have an art class, drama, communications media, our world language that we just talked about, our Gateway to Technology, our GTT class, technology education, family consumer science, which involves foods and sewing, 2 different classes there, and also some performing arts stuff. So, if a student was involved in Spanish and also in music, a student could have chorus as they're in line 5, and then Spanish in line 6, and then they have the opportunity of having those electives in line 7. Now, the electives from the last screen there, each of those except for our world language is only offered, or is only 1 semester long. They do meet every day, so we need the full line in order to do that, but we just put it for 1 semester. So for this example, we have art and drama. Art listed for first semester and drama listed for second semester. Now that could be any of those different electives that we put in there, but not unlike Spanish, which meets all year long. Art and drama would just be for 1 semester. Now, if a student was not taking Spanish and had both lines 6 and 7 open, they have an opportunity to possibly take 4 different electives. So in this case, we have foods and engineering technology in the line 6 of the registration form for each of the semesters, and then art and drama are in line 7 of the form there. So they have the opportunity, if they would like, to take 4 different electives throughout their 8th grade year, just 2 per semester. Now, a lot of kids will want to have a study hall during the day, and some want one every day. If that is the case, and they're not involved in Spanish, they could put their electives in line 6 here. So in this case, we have foods and engineering technology in line 6. And then line 7 is where the study hall is listed. If there's nothing listed in this line 7 here, I'm going to assume that they're wanting a study hall in that spot. So if you do not want your student to have that study hall, make sure you fill out this line 7 here. Another thing that oftentimes happens is a student wants to take an elective in a certain semester because the other semester they're very busy. So if they, for example, if they are involved in a lot of sports and activities second semesters, they may want to have a study hall during their second semester. But their first semester may not be as busy, so they can include an elective in there. If this is the case, please do have the student identify what they want as first semester and second semester, because the electives are just randomly put into what semester they are. So if we know that they want drama first semester and the study hall second semester, we can set it up that way when we put it into the system. Then the last thing we want to make sure you do is make sure you include an alternate elective. Students can put down all their different electives here, but in some cases they're not going to be able to take all of those electives because of something in their schedule. If that's the case, then it would be good to include an alternative elective, just so that we know what else they might be interested in case they're not able to get one of those other electives in there. If they're not able to get in there and we don't have another elective, then we would have to just insert one that maybe they're not interested in. So please make sure that they fill out the alternate elective spot there at the bottom of that registration form.